Hello, my name's Isaiah, and in this video we're going to talk about the HyperX Alloy Elite Gaming Keyboard. It's a mouthful, I know, but I got this keyboard a year ago. I've been using it non-stop in all my reviews and anything to do with writing articles, but I haven't actually reviewed it yet. So we're going to take a look at this keyboard and how it still performs a year later. Alright, so I have the Kingston HyperX keyboard in front of me. Now HyperX is the sub-brand of Kingston. They make, originally it was just memory years ago, and they kind of branched out to making gaming headsets, keyboards, mice, anything you think of that is pretty much gaming related. They're all about it right now. So this is the Alloy Elite gaming keyboard. It's mechanical, and I've had a little secret here. I've been holding onto this keyboard for a year now. Just because I didn't have time to really review it. I also wanted to make sure it was quality. So it's not often you come across reviews that somebody's been using it for a year and is now ready to talk about it. I am guilty of that, of reviewing something quickly, seeing performance of it, and then kind of moving on to the next product. I do keep all my old keyboards. I have the Ozone right here. It's being used as just a box, but I have it used right now on a different computer, and it still works great. But a lot of times you see reviews, they kind of talk about it, they use it, they move on. So I thought it'd be a great video to do about a keyboard that I've been using for an entire year. I got it May last year, now it's June, end of June almost, and I've been using it non-stop since. So the big thing about this keyboard is it's mechanical. And the second big thing you might think is it's a affordable, essential gaming keyboard. So what I mean by that is affordable is that for the cost of about $110 or so, you get a full mechanical keyboard that has anti-ghosting and end rollovers, which I'll explain in a bit. And then you get this nice red lighting here. You get a game mode that makes it so you can't use the Windows key when you're playing games, and just kind of the basic functions that you get from any old keyboard. The difference is this keyboard is hefty. It actually has some weight to it. It's built sturdy, and like I said, I've been using it for a year. So that makes a huge difference when talking about reviews, is that I'm somebody actually has been using this months on end. And it's a little bit dirty at this point. I try to get a lot of dust out of it, but it performs great. It performed great the first day I had it, and it performs great still now. And I think that's a big takeaway of this review. Now we can go into the little bit more of the mundane things. You have the basic things of a keyboard. You have your lighting button, which controls all the lights and how it functions. And then you have the gaming button. If you press that, it turns off the window key, so window key no longer works, so you can't by accident press it when you're trying to press control. And then you have the brightness button next to that, which controls how bright the keys look. So now let's talk about the removable buttons. As you see on the front, I have some of these custom buttons. They come with a set of buttons you can replace out, and also on their website you can buy extra buttons. All these buttons are removable, and below the button is a LED light, and the buttons are, in this case, is the Cherry MX Brown keys, which have a noticeable click sound to it. It has good action, and of course every type of keyboard, mechanical wise, has different switches, and each switch acts differently. I'm not going to go into really detail about what the best switch is for your environment, because every switch kind of is different per computer. The big thing is 1,000 Hertz polling rate. Alright, so sorry about that corrupted footage. It happens to the best of us, but I had to reshoot this, and I'm wearing a different t-shirt because it's a different day. But back to the subject at hand. What makes this a gaming keyboard? Now, most gaming keyboards have macro functions. This does not have macros, but it does have a very high polling rate. And what that means is that the computer will ask the keyboard what button's been pressed, and this keyboard does it 1,000 times a second. So it's basically 1,000 Hertz polling rate. What that means for the gamer, the average gamer, is that it's a very, very fast keyboard. And quite frankly, there's no way that you're ever going to match that with a human speed. So I did this little test to see what my reaction time was, and it was 239 milliseconds. The average response time is about 215, And then you get down to the details. So your television, which is 60 hertz, that is 16.6 milliseconds every time the screen refreshes to 16.6 milliseconds. And then you get to the fastest gaming monitor, about 240 hertz is what it is right now. I know there's faster ones, but really that's kind of the standard. That is 4.4 milliseconds. That means that this keyboard right here is 4 times faster in response time than your computer monitor, the fastest computer monitor you can get. So what you take away from that is that there's no way that this keyboard is at fault for your gaming. If you press a key, it's going to be faster than the refresh rate on any computer monitor. So let's talk about the other functions to make it a gaming keyboard. The second big thing I would say is the anti-ghosting and the end rollover function. So anti-ghosting means that you can literally press any 2 keys at the same time, or more than 2 keys. And what that does is that normally a cheaper keyboard, the way the matrix is set up on the keys, is that you can't press a stack of keys at the same time, only one of them will register. The way they get around that is that they just have some different, sometimes they have a chip in there, sometimes they have the way the matrix is set up that allows you to do more than 1 key. This keyboard allows that, so you can press 10 keys, 1 key, 8 keys, it doesn't matter, it allows that function. And this kind of moves on to the end rollover function. End roll means infinite keys can be pressed at the same time. Similar to the anti-ghosting, end rollover allows the matrix, instead of just pressing in a row 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th key sometimes is not registered. This allows for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't matter, all the keys will be registered. And this makes a huge difference if you're playing, I don't know, maybe high action MOBA that has a lot of keys you're pressing at the same time. Sometimes you're shooting games, I know you click the mouse a lot, but maybe you want to left, right, up, down, jump, switch weapons, all that stuff. The more keys you're holding down in your hand, the less likely that key is going to be registered. I'm not saying that that's the cause of all, your deaths in the games, but sometimes you push that button and nothing happened. It could be keyboard related. It could be latency related. It could be just your skill set related. But knowing that this keyboard has those functions stops that from ever being an issue. So when you die in a video game, you know the keyboard is not what's causing it. It could be anything else but the keyboard. So what makes this keyboard stick out? I know, like I said, I've been using this for a year and I keep repeating that, but what actually makes this keyboard worth it after a year of use? Well, for one, this is a mechanical keyboard and it's using the Cherry MX keys. Now, the current ratings for these keys are 50 million clicks, so every key can be clicked 50 million times. That just means that the longevity of actually pressing the button is going to be there for quite a while. The second thing is it has a nice thick braided cable. And now, I know that's not a big deal for some people, but when you think about it, what do you move a lot? Sometimes you move your keyboard, you move your mouse, and you want to make sure that that cable that's connecting your device is not going to fray and break and just fall apart, because a lot of times those cheap rubber ones would kind of fall apart after a while. So knowing that at least the cable itself is going to hold up is a good indication. And then you have just the weight. This thing is actually heavy. It's thick. It's solid. There's no way that this is actually going to break on you from just actually pressing down. I know some keyboards I've been using, you press in the middle and it kind of gives away. It doesn't matter where you press on this keyboard, it's just solid, 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 and that's really a good indication of something that's built to last. HyperX kind of shoots them in the foot that way, because the issue is, if you like this keyboard and it lasts you 10 years, why would you buy another keyboard? Well, I think what they're playing on is that you don't have to buy another keyboard, but maybe you want to buy their gaming headset, maybe you want to buy their mouse, maybe you want to recommend this keyboard to somebody else, and just grows their brand entirely. So that's what they're doing. And I compare it to older cars. These older cars are made out of metal. When you get in a wreck, you can drive away with them. Now these new cars, they're made out of plastic, and you get in a wreck, a fender bender, and your whole front car falls apart. So having a keyboard in that aspect that is just solidly built means that this is not going to fall apart ever. You're not going to have any problems with this keyboard in probably the next 10 years. I don't think you can press one key 50 million times to really find out if it's going to last that long, but people have tested MX Cherry keys for quite a while and have no issues. They have never reported issues. So that's definitely a good thing. The other thing is I like the raised part. So all these keys are actually raised, meaning that pretty much unless you really pour water on this keyboard, or a really big spillage that kind of seeps in the gaps, you can clean it all up. You can take all the keys off, you can wash all the keys, you can get a compressed air or a vacuum cleaner, you can get all the crumbs out of the keyboard. And if it really comes down to if you do spill something on the keyboard, if you do it just right, you know, maybe like a splash of soda or whatever, you can take the keys off, wash them. Between each key you can kind of scrub in, hopefully you don't actually ruin the keys themselves. But the fact that everything is slightly raised, especially the keys themselves, means I think the LED might be the only thing that gets damaged in that case. Now I'm not advocating spilling liquid on your keyboard, but I've come across keyboards that all the keys are recessed. It means you can't get the crumbs out. You eat pizza over your keyboard, you get a big crumb in there, and then your key is no longer pressable. You get something sticky in there, then your key is ruined also. So having a keyboard that is raised really helps the longevity of the keyboard itself. So sneak a little thing into it, actually these keys, since they are removable, I feel like someday they're gonna wear off, and that's just the nature of plastic. But I got these other keys from my other keyboard, the Ozone key, and they actually fit on there just fine. So if you really want to, you can actually swap keys all you want. Now the downside of that is, well, you're stealing keys from somebody else's keyboard, but the MX keys all have the same hatchet in the middle, meaning they're all kind of universal. So if you happen to find a donor keyboard, you can steal their keys and replace your old keys here. So I think the last one would be the lack of software. That's good and bad. So there is no software for this keyboard. What that means is that when you plug the keyboard in, it's just going to go work and play. It's plug and play, that's what USB is for, but there's no software to drive any of these keys. You unplug the keyboard, your lights reset, your little commands reset, but since this doesn't have any actual macro keys built into the keyboard, the only thing you can really control is the lighting, which is not a big deal to reset that after you're done. This means that this keyboard can plug into any computer. You don't have to worry about software. So this is an example of minimalistic design. No software, easy to go, plug and play. It's built solid. I've been using it for a year. Other than getting crumbs inside of it and getting them, brushing the crumbs out, I have no problems with it. I really recommend this keyboard for anybody that's not looking for a macro setup. I think this keyboard is built for me. I really like the size of it. My hands are medium size. I don't have very large hands or small hands. These just kind of medium. My hands fit perfectly over this. Alright, so a quick little thing I forgot. If you like this video, please subscribe to it. Please leave a thumbs up. And please, of course, leave a comment below. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you'd like to see other content or more reviews that are a year later or 6 months later or 2 years later. I think I would love to see the feedback of what people think about talking about a product a few years later and seeing if it still holds up to the first day you talked about it to the last day you talked about it. So anyways, thanks for watching and enjoy your day.